The grand arrival, the darkness of space near Jupiter, suddenly blazed with the light of 1,000 suns as the hegemony's third conquest fleet materialized from hyperspace. Supreme War Marshal Dektar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Domination, watching through the massive viewport as his armada spread across the void in perfect formation. 3,000 warships, each one a monument to the military might that had crushed 47 civilizations across the galaxy. Dektar's forearms adjusted the ceremonial conquest armor that had witnessed the surrender of countless worlds. His scaled hide gleamed under the bridge lights as he surveyed the primitive solar system before them. Intelligence reports had been clear. The beings called humans had barely achieved interstellar travel and possessed no significant military technology. This would be another routine conquest, another species to add to the hegemony's ever-growing empire. Communications Officer Vexilin, open channels to the third planet. Vector commanded, his voice carrying the authority of absolute power. Let us begin the standard intimidation protocols. The massive display screen flickered to life, showing the blue-green world that hung in space like a delicate ornament. Dektar had seen countless worlds like this one, each thinking themselves unique and special until they witnessed the might of the hegemony. Soon, this Earth would join the ranks of the conquered, its people serving as laborers in the vast machinery of galactic dominance. But as the communication channel opened, something unexpected happened. Instead of the terrified planetary leaders he expected to see, the screen showed the bridge of a small human vessel. It was barely 200 meters long, held together with what appeared to be recycled materials and painted with bright, cheerful colors that seemed almost insulting in their casualness. 3 humans in simple work clothes stared back at him with expressions of genuine curiosity rather than fear. Captain Marcus Rodriguez, a man with graying hair and laugh lines around his eyes, leaned forward in his captain's chair with the relaxed posture of someone greeting an old friend. "Well, hello there," Rodriguez said with a warm smile. "I'm Captain Mac Rodriguez of the research vessel Curiosity. We've been monitoring your approach for the past few days. Quite impressive, I must say. Your hyperspace signatures are absolutely fascinating." Dektar's mandibles clicked in confusion. No species had ever responded to the arrival of his fleet with casual interest. He straightened to his full imposing height and began the conquest speech that had brought terror to worlds across the galaxy. "Primitive beings of the third world," he thundered, his voice amplified to bone-shaking intensity. "You stand before the might of the galactic hegemony. Your species will submit to our rule or face complete annihilation. Surrender now and your deaths will be swift." The expected panic did not come. Instead, the humans burst into delighted laughter. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's xenobiologist, clapped her hands together with genuine excitement. "Oh my goodness, Mac, look at this. A classic first contact intimidation display. Check out the ceremonial armor, the dramatic lighting effects. It's like something straight out of our historical entertainment programs." Chief Engineer Tommy Wrench O'Brien was grinning from ear to ear as he studied readings on his tablet. "Captain, you've got to see their power signatures. They're using fusion reactors the size of city blocks to generate what we could produce with a decent workshop generator. And those plasma cannons, they must weigh tons each. It's like they never heard of miniaturization." Dektar's confidence began to waver as his tactical officer leaned forward with growing concern. "Marshal, our deep scans of their system are unusual. Their moon appears to be artificial and heavily modified. Also, their asteroid belt is moving in perfect formation. and their outer planets show signs of significant structural alterations. "Oh, that," Captain Rodriguez said cheerfully, apparently having heard the exchange. "Yeah, we had to make some adjustments to our solar system about 50 years ago. Nothing too dramatic, just some defensive preparations and resource management. We try to keep it subtle, but you folks have pretty good sensors for such retro technology." The word retro hit Dector like a physical blow. His fleet, the terror of the galaxy, was being described as vintage technology by these supposedly primitive beings. "You dare mock the hegemony's supreme military might." "Mock? Oh no, not at all," Dr. Vasquez said, her tone genuinely apologetic. "We're actually quite impressed. Your ships are marvels of engineering from a historical perspective. It's just that your civilization seems to have taken a very different technological path than we did. More focused on size and intimidation rather than efficiency and practicality." Intelligence Officer Vexilon was frantically running additional scans, his usually calm demeanor cracking. "Marshal, their star has been modified. Energy collectors, gravitational adjustments, stellar output regulation, and their planets. They're all connected by some kind of quantum communication network. This entire system has been converted into a defensive matrix." "A defensive matrix?" Vector asked slowly, his voice losing its commanding thunder. "Well, we prefer to call it a really good neighborhood watch program," Wrench said with a chuckle. "We learned a long time ago that the best way to avoid fights is to be so obviously prepared for them that nobody wants to start one. Plus, it was a fun engineering project. Do you know how challenging it is to move a planet without disrupting its ecosystem? The math alone took us 2 years. Captain Rodriguez leaned back in his chair, his expression becoming more serious but no less friendly. "Listen, Marshal, Dector, we've actually been expecting someone like you for quite some time. Our long-range sensors have been tracking various fleets moving through this sector for decades. We know about the hegemony, and we know about your conquest campaigns. Then you know you cannot resist us," Dector said, though his voice lacked its earlier conviction. "Resist? Who said anything about resistance?" Rodriguez smiled. "We're not interested in fighting you. We're interested in understanding you, your technology, your culture, your history. You represent the first galactic civilization we've encountered, and that's incredibly exciting for us." Dr. Vasquez nodded enthusiastically. "We've been studying your communication protocols, your ship designs, your tactical formations. It's all so wonderfully different from our approach. We develop technology to solve problems and explore possibilities. You seem to develop it to project power and maintain control. It's a fascinating cultural divergence." Dector found himself in completely uncharted territory. In 3 centuries of conquest, no species had ever treated his arrival as an opportunity for academic study. "You speak of resistance as if it were optional. You have seen our fleet. You know our power. Oh, we're not dismissing your capabilities," Wrench said, pulling up holographic displays. "Your ships are impressive in their own way. Lots of firepower, strong armor, excellent formation flying. But they're also incredibly vulnerable. Single-point failures everywhere. No redundancy. Massive energy signatures that can be tracked from parsecs away. It's like you designed them to look scary rather than to actually fight." The human engineer's casual analysis of his fleet's weaknesses sent a chill through their tar spine. "You claim to have no interest in fighting, yet you analyze our vulnerabilities." "Knowledge is never wasted," Dr. Vasquez replied. "Understanding how something works is the first step to understanding the minds that created it. Your ships tell. us a lot about your culture, your priorities, your fears. You build big because you want to inspire fear. You use intimidation because you're afraid of actual conflict. You conquer because you're terrified of being conquered. The accuracy of her assessment was disturbing. Dektar realized that these humans, in the space of a brief conversation, had seen through 3 centuries of carefully constructed military doctrine. What do you want from us? What we've always wanted, Captain Rodriguez said simply. To learn, to grow, to understand the universe a little better. We'd love to invite you to Earth, show you our world, share our knowledge. We think you might be surprised by what you find. Vexilon whispered urgently in Vector's ear. Marshal, their defensive systems are coming online. Every ship, every station, every modified celestial body. They're not threatening us, but they're definitely prepared for us. Prepared for what? Dektar asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. For you to make the wrong choice, Rodriguez said quietly. We hope you won't. We really do want to be friends. But we've learned that hope works best when it's backed by the ability to protect what matters to you. The Supreme War Marshal of the Galactic Hegemony stared at the screen, at these 3 humans who had dismantled his entire worldview with nothing but curiosity and kindness. His mighty fleet, the terror of the galaxy, had been reduced to a historical curiosity, and somehow, impossibly, he found himself more intrigued than insulted. Friends, he repeated slowly, as if tasting the word. What would that mean? It means, Captain Rodriguez said with a warm smile, that you're about to find out just how interesting the universe can be when you stop trying to conquer it and start trying to understand it. The peaceful resolution Admiral Sarah Chen watched the tactical display from Earth's primary orbital defense station, her calm demeanor masking the intensity of the situation. The alien fleet hung in space near Jupiter like a cloud of metallic locusts, their weapons powered but not yet firing. The initial contact had gone better than anyone had dared hope, but the real test was just beginning. Admiral, her communications officer reported. Captain Rodriguez is requesting permission to bring the alien commander's shuttle to Luna, based for face-to-face negotiations. Granted, Chen replied without hesitation. And activate the hospitality protocols. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. 3 hours later, Supreme War Marshal Dektar found himself in the strangest situation of his long military career. He was walking through the corridors of a human moon base, flanked not by guards, but by guides who seemed genuinely excited to show him around. The human who had introduced himself as Dr. James Park bounced along beside him with the enthusiasm of a child showing off a favorite toy. This is our primary cultural exchange center, Dr. Park explained as they entered. A vast chamber filled with artifacts from across human history. We built it hoping that someday we'd have visitors from other worlds. We wanted to show them who we are, where we came from, and what we've learned along the way. Dektar paused before a display showing the evolution of human technology from simple stone tools to the quantum computers that now regulated their solar system. You planned for our arrival. Not yours specifically, Park admitted. But we've known for a long time that we weren't alone in the universe. We picked up radio signals from various galactic civilizations decades ago. We've been preparing for first contact ever since. Preparing how Vector asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer wouldn't be what he expected. By learning everything we could about the galaxy, about different cultures, about the challenges of interspecies communication. We studied your language, your customs, your technology. We wanted to be ready to be good neighbors. They continued. Through the facility, and with each room, Dektar's understanding of humanity shifted. These weren't the primitive beings his intelligence reports had described. They were a species that had taken a fundamentally different approach to technological development, one focused on sustainability, cooperation, and exploration rather than domination. "This is our terraforming research center," Park said as they entered a room filled with miniature ecosystems. "We've been working on techniques to help damaged worlds recover from ecological disasters. We thought it might be useful for helping planets that have been affected by warfare." The subtle implication wasn't lost on Dektar. These humans had weapons that could reshape solar systems, but they chose to spend their time developing ways to heal worlds that others had broken. "Why?" he asked simply. "Because that's what neighbors do," Park replied. "They help each other. They share what they have. They make the neighborhood a better place for everyone." Meanwhile, back on the Eternal Domination, Sub-Commander Zix was having his own revelation. The humans had sent a small delegation to tour the Hegemony fleet, and their reaction was not what he had expected. Instead of cowering before the massive weapons and intimidating displays, they were asking technical questions and making suggestions. "Your plasma conduits are fascinating," said Dr. Elena Vasquez as she studied the ship's weapon systems. "The energy efficiency is much lower than our current systems, but the raw power output is impressive. Have you considered using quantum field generators instead of magnetic containment? You could probably reduce the size of these systems by about 90% while increasing their effectiveness." "Reduce the size?" Zixtel asked, confused. "But then they would not be as intimidating." "But they would be more effective," Vasquez pointed out. "And you could fit more of them on your ships, or use the extra space for better shields, or crew quarters, or scientific equipment. Think of the possibilities." It was a perspective that had never occurred to him. The Hegemony built big because big was scary. But these humans built smart because smart was effective. The difference was profound. Back on Lunar Base, Admiral Chen was conducting her own conversation with Marshal Dektar. They stood in the observation deck, looking out at the Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel against the black. "It's beautiful," Dektar said, and there was genuine wonder in his voice. "It's home," Chen replied simply. "The only one we've ever known. Every human who has ever lived, every story we've ever told, every dream we've ever had, all of it happened on that little blue world. It makes you think about what's really important. Your world is very different from ours." They observed, "Our home world is a fortress, surrounded by weapons and walls. We built it to project power. We built ours to nurture life," Chen said. "Different priorities, I suppose, but it's not too late to change. The galaxy is big enough for both approaches, and maybe we can learn from each other." Dektar was quiet for a long moment, processing everything he had seen and heard. Finally, he spoke. "What you're suggesting, it would mean abandoning everything the Hegemony has built." "Not abandoning," Chen corrected gently. "Transforming. You have incredible resources, amazing technology, and a vast network of connections across the galaxy. Imagine what you could accomplish if you used all of that to build instead of destroy, to explore instead of conquer. The other species we've conquered would never accept such a change." "Have you asked them?" Chen smiled. "I have a feeling you might be surprised. People who have been conquered usually dream of freedom. People who have been oppressed usually dream of justice. Give them a chance to be partners instead of subjects, and you might find that they're more capable than you ever imagined." As the day progressed, something remarkable happened. The humans and aliens began to work together, sharing knowledge and perspectives. Human engineers showed their alien counterparts how to miniaturize technology. Alien scientists shared their knowledge of faster-than-light travel and quantum mechanics. Cultural specialists from both species began the complex work of building bridges between vastly different civilizations. "This is unprecedented," Vexalan reported to Vector as they prepared to return to the fleet. "Our technical teams are learning more in one day than they have in decades, and the humans, they're sharing everything freely. No demands, no conditions, no attempts to gain advantage." "It's called trust," Dector said, and he was surprised by how natural the word felt. "They're showing us trust and expecting us to return it. And will we?" Vexalan asked. Vector looked back at the moon base, where humans and aliens were, working side by side, building something new together. "I think we will. I think we must." The next morning, Dector stood once again on the bridge of the eternal domination. But everything had changed. The ship was still the same, the crew was still the same, but the mission was completely different. Instead of conquest, they were embarking on cooperation. Instead of intimidation, they were choosing inspiration. "Open channels to the fleet," he commanded. "All ships, all crews." The faces of 3,000 ship commanders filled the screen, and in their expressions, Dector could see the same mixture of confusion and curiosity that he had felt just days before. "My fellow warriors," he began, his voice carrying a new kind of authority. "We came here to conquer. We found something better. We found teachers. We found friends. We found a new way to be strong." He paused, looking out at the blue world that had changed everything. "Today, we begin a new chapter in the history of the hegemony. Today, we choose to build instead of destroy, to explore instead of conquer, to grow instead of dominate. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders, and we're going to discover them together." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ship after ship reported their readiness for the new mission. Species after species that had been conquered by the hegemony sent messages of support and excitement. The galaxy, it seemed, had been waiting for this moment. As the great fleet began to disperse, not to return to their homeworld, but to begin the work of transformation, Captain Rodriguez sent a final message to Admiral Chen. "Well, Admiral, I think we can call this first contact a success." Chen smiled as she watched the alien ships beginning their new journey. "Indeed, Captain, and I have a feeling it's just the beginning." In the years that followed, the galaxy would indeed change. The hegemony became the Federation, conquest became cooperation, and fear became friendship. It all started with a simple idea that the universe was big enough for everyone, and that the best way to be strong was to help others be strong too. And in the end, perhaps that was the most human thing of all.